Welcome back to Base Camp, WNC. Well, today we're going to be fixing, repairing, and rebuild or try to get it to be fixed a little bit. You can see I came in by way of this freeze-proof hydrant. It was damaged. They threw it away, and I had never taken one apart. I've never rebuilt one. So I figured now's the time to look at it. And some surprising revelations about it. So let's go ahead and take this thing apart. Well, I stuck it in a vise to hold it, and it kind of surprised me. Now, this thing has been probably used 15, 20 years, but it was always used, so it was full of water. And of course, there's a rod inside that this handle, when you turn it on, turn it off, there's actually this rod, screws into here, goes all the way down this pipe. Because what makes this thing freeze-proof is the valve is right here. And then there's a drain line. So when you shut it off, all the water in this rod, in the pipe, all drains out, and you have to supply a place for it to drain to. And that's what keeps this thing from freezing. So really the valve here, for us here, is buried like 2 foot in the ground. So when I saw this thing, I looked it up. This thing is a Waterford brand. The rebuilding kit is still available. It's like $32. They want another $30 for the rod that's in it. And you can buy these things brand new for like $75 now. So it didn't make sense, but I figured I'd go ahead and take it apart. So in the process, which kind of surprised me, we unscrewed it. We did get it apart. But this thing, as it was still being used, it still held pressure, didn't leak. But here is the plunger valve that seats in right down here. When it's turned on, when they raise the handle up, it goes up, which then lets the water come from the bottom and then go up the pipe and come out the faucet. So then, of course, I grabbed hold of this piece of pipe with a pipe wrench, and we unscrewed it. So what I wanted to do before I took the pipe apart, I took this with 2 pair of vice grips, one here, one on here, and I actually was able to remove the plunger, the whole valve assembly. So of course, took the pipe wrench. We were able to break it loose. And I guess the biggest thing in my surprise, in that middle of that bent pipe, the rod, I guess, which is pretty hard steel, is straight. So then I decided to, being it was holding water pressure, I figured I didn't need to really mess with the valve other than clean it up, and cleaned up down in the hole all the stuff that had been sitting there. But what I found out about today's business people, and of course what I was trying to do was figure out a way to straighten this pipe, and I'd come up with, put it between boards and put it between, on the log splitter, try to mash it shut. But I was at my local Ace Hardware. I went to the big box store, and this piece of pipe, 48-inch long, it's a stock 48-inch piece of pipe, is $49.95 at the big box store. Once again, you $50 for this, $30 for a rebuild kit, you can buy another whole thing. So I said, well, I'll have to straighten that piece of pipe up. I'm not going to pay that much. So I happened to be at my local Ace Hardware, and lo and behold, they had a 48-inch piece of galvanized pipe. The first one I saw was plain iron pipe, which would rust inside pretty bad. It was $11.95. And I looked in the rack because, of course, it was in the wrong section. They had a 48-inch piece for $14.99. So what this is all about. Don't really trust and think you're getting a good deal at the box store. Ace Hardware is a computerized system, so it's whatever today's price is, and they're still selling it for $15 versus $50. So I know there's a shortage of everything, and I get tired of hearing that, but oh well, let me get off my soapbox. So anyhow, we're going to slide this new piece of pipe up the rod and attach it. Of course, that's back in place. And to make sure when I screw this thing on, we're not turning the rubber or breaking the seal up, what I'll do is I'll come up here and raise the handle up. So now it's in the free flowing position, which means it should end up in here. So, with this attached back in there, the brand new piece of $15 pipe in there, threaded into here. I did put a little bit of Never Seas on there. And the only other problem you'll really have is it, when it's turned on, leaking coming up this rod. And I'm going to show you how to repair that real easy. So what you're going to do up here at the very top, if it is leaking coming out this valve, this stem, you're going to back off this packing nut. Now this is nothing here but valve wrapping cord. You can get it at hardware store. This is what used to use for everything until all the O-rings and all the new fancy valves came out that you can't ever buy parts for. But you're going to put about 2 wraps around the valve stem. Just stack it on the thing, and then you're going to push it down in the hole, and then you're going to pack this packing nut back on top of it. And what there is, there's a rubber gland in there that it's going to seal on, that of course you get with the $30 rebuilding kit. And this right here, if your faucet is in place and it just keeps leaking up there, this is a real simple fix. I mean, that packing cord is like $3 at the hardware store. You can back this nut off, put a couple wraps on it, pack it down, and just tighten it up. That's all it is to fix the leak on the top. Now, when you're tightening it back up, you don't want to overly tighten it, because if you make it too tight, you won't be able to move the handle up and down. You just want to get it up in there kind of firm. You can always tighten it up some more. And if it's still leaking, you might have to put another wrap of cord in it. Just depends on how bad that rubber gland has been wore in that thing. Well, there it is. It's rebuilt. And besides a little bit of time and a $15 piece of pipe, yeah, by the time you add tax on it, it's probably 17 bucks or something like that. You got a $75 faucet, freeze-proof hydrant, back to work. Might shoot another video on how I like to install them, covering up that valve and making it so it actually works freeze-proof. But if this helps you, let me know, leave a comment in the thing. And as always, like it, share it, subscribe, tell your friends about it. We might hit 4,000 people by the end of the year, I don't know. And maybe a couple more videos, I'll learn how to use this phone. I got a new phone and now it doesn't take my microphone, so it's hard to use the tripod and get away from it. Tell me what you think. Thank you for watching.